Good morning everybody. Blank screen there for a sec. We forgot to press a button. How are you? Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope you have a great break. We are going to have a nice little break, I hope. And yeah, stay safe during the holiday break, please. So, anyhow, before we get started, I'm just going to, this is the last show for the day, for the year, we're just going to tidy up the last bits of our little box. Before I do, if you've got nothing to do during the Christmas break, now that could be a go. We are staying open now, our shop's open all over Christmas, so we're not going away anywhere. I have put together some packages of timber. Now, we have two different packages. I've got the desktop box package, so you'll be able to make a box similar to that one. Pam's going to come in here with the camera now. Probably not in walnut, but this one's got silky oak and white maple in it. And I've also got our trinket box ones, and you can probably make a box a bit similar to this one here. So they will be available. Jump on the phone, have a look in our website. The packages are on the website, and you can end up making a box similar to this one. This is the uneven sided box, of course, and the lid. So all of those parts are in that package. Again, probably not the same timbers that you see there, but anyway, they are there. So if you're let me turn that round so you can actually read it. It says timber for the desktop box and timber for the trinket box. So if you've got nothing to do and you've run out of timber, I've got some packages there that you can purchase. Okay, now throughout the year we covered a number of different types of little handles. Now, if you've gone back, I think it's maybe 2 years now, we did the apothecary chest, and I made little boxes to go inside the drawers, and this is the lid that went on top of those little boxes with this particular type of handle, where I've got a little piece of material that's turned out and a little lifter on the end of it. And before that, I think we did the Japanese box. What did you call it, Pamela?
Tori box, yeah.
And in that we had a couple little boxes at the bottom of it, and they had this particular type of handle in it. Now, to make this little handle here, what I did was I developed a little jig that you set over the top, put that through there, and then you can run around the edges of it and get it nice and round on the edges. Right, so if you go back and have a look and see how I've used these parts, they're available on our other sites. Now, throughout a lot of our shows, or some of our shows where I've had to make little handles for drawers, handles for cabinets and things like that, and lids, I've made these little knobs. And they're quite easy to make. I've made a number of them over the time. So what we thought we'd do is, a suggestion was that we use all three different lids.
Now I wonder who thought of that.
So we have the little bridge lifter, a little knob that goes on the top, and we have that little lifter like that with the hollow in around it.
Nice way to demonstrate all three,
so
isn't it?
It demonstrates a reasonable level of skill. So you need to think about it, and you can get it right. These are just about ready for a finish now. So that little tray will end up looking like that. But today, what we're going to do is I've already started, and what I've done is I've built the lid with the same technique that we used last week. This one hasn't been dressed up or anything like that. It's just been cut to fit, and that fits on. Pull the little box out. A little box. So the lid actually goes on exactly the same way that the base goes on. Right. The difference being that I've rounded over these edges here and I've rounded over the inside of that. Like I say, to use this technique, what I've done is drill the hole, the 25mm hole, and then hot melt glue that onto there, and then it comes off in one piece with the hole in the right place. And then I can round over the bottom edge, and then to do the other side I'll do exactly the same, turn it over, hot melt glue it on, and then round over the bottom edge. So that's how I went about that with this little device. Again, another little jig that I've made, and that will fit on there quite nicely. Now it's a bit tight at the moment, but I just need to dress it up a little. It's got sharp edges all the way around inside there, but once I've got it tightened that will pop off quite easily. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put a little handle across here. The handle will be silver ash, the knob will be silver ash, and the little handle across here will be silver ash as well. So we've got a combination of walnut and silver ash. Now we have to turn the knob, and I want to do that one first. So what I've got here, just a tiny little piece. It's just like, looks like a pen blank actually, and I've got my material for the two handles here as well. So let's go to the lathe, and I'll get started, and we'll get this one sorted. I'm not going to turn any dust extraction systems on or anything like that. It's just a little bit too noisy for what we're trying to for doing this. Okay, so that's pretty good. I've only got my short tool rest on. So all I'm going to do is just going to create a cylinder. And before I started, I set my calipers at 5/16. Okay, so that's going to be the hole that I drill in the top of the lid. So I need to make a flat section on the bottom of the box, the bottom of the handle. So it's just a matter of the thing about this is you can make them as long as you like or as short as you like. You can make them any shape you like. So I've got my little cylinder, just a little bit more of it. Okay, so that gives me a little cylinder. And all I need to do now is get my shape. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a parting tool, and I'm just going to make the foot and use my calipers. So just somewhere down towards the back end, and the reason I'm going somewhere near the back end is I haven't got a measurement for the size of my little thing. I'm going to do that by eye. Just probably not small enough. Got to come down a bit more. you'll notice that what I've done here is I've stepped away from the bottom of the handle. I've got probably 8mm there. Now the piece of timber that I'm going to stick in is only 6mm, so I'm down further away from that just to get my size right. But that way I can adjust it as I go. Pammy.
Oh.
Pammy's leaning on the
the bar.
The bar.
It's hard to get a good position.
I've got a...
Sorry. It's a really awkward position to try to film from.
Get it right. I could just sit the calipers on there and just work them to the end, but sometimes the calipers catch. And the next thing we've got a problem. Okay, so that's almost there. So what I'll do is I'll just dress the rest of it down. Check it. Lovely. Perfect. Okay, now shape it. Now what shape do we want? I could replicate the shapes that I've got there, which is quite an easy thing to do. It's not that hard. I could make a little knob, so I could round over the top rather than having a square corner. What do you reckon?
Yeah, round it over.
Round it over?
Mimic the round shapes on the other two.
So if I just roll that off, then come in from the other side, just use the focus. A little bead on here. Got a little cap on the end of it. Make it look a little bit fancy. This is just a bit of 240 that I'm using because I've cut it fairly smooth. 600. There's my little bead. Okay, so now we just need to part that off. Now the thing about this is that it's only has to be 6 millimeters. I'll just mark that. And 6 millimeters is the thickness of the piece of top. So I'm going to cut it at 5 mil. That way I can drill the hole part the way through rather than all the way through the piece. Now the tool I'm using to part this off is one of my homemade tools. Just tidy up that little bit on the end there. There's a little flat shoulder there. Further, down a little bit. Now stabilising that, I've got it right up against my arm here, and it's all tucked in against my body, just to keep it nice and steady. For those of you who haven't seen this tool, that is just a high-speed blade off a high-speed hacksaw, a metal hacksaw, and of course a bit of a handle. Okay, job done.
I have to apologise for the wobbly camera work. That was a really awkward position to be in.
Just sanding the bottom off it. Just with a bit of 180. Doesn't matter if it's not flat, it's just I don't want to go too far. Okay, I'm just going to check the diameter of that. Yep, it's a perfect diameter. Okay, so over to the drill press. So it's going to sit in there like that. So what I've got a centre mark there. I just want to check that before I go too far, just to make sure I have got it centred. Go from diagonal to diagonal.
What size was the chisel that you were using, Cole?
3/16, just a small one. Don't need a big chisel to do something like that. I know that some people use 1/2 inch to do a lot of that stuff. I didn't really need it. Okay, so there's my centre. So over to the drill press. Now the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to drill a check hole. So just to make sure before I drill it that I've got a drill bit that's the right size. Yes, actually it's a little bit too small. I might need to go to a bigger drill bit. Let's try a different drill bit. We'll go the metric version of that because I think the imperial one will be a little bit too big. What was that? 7.5. Again, just a check hole. So, I think that one looks too small too. Yep, let's go to a different size. Okay, so it's just a matter of checking, making sure that you get something that will fit. Probably 8mm. Oh, these are awkward things to play with, especially when you're using sharp drill bits.
It's a little bit, is that okay?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You could always put a little bit of filler in there too, if it's a bit big.
That should look right. We could go, I'm going to try another drill bit before we make a final decision. 21/64. I think it's going to be way too big. Yeah, that one's way too big. That one's too big. That one's the better size. Okay, let's go with the drill. Now if I drill all the way through, it's not going to be a drama. This one wasn't. But I'm going to try not to. I could set my depth, but it just takes a bit too long. A bit deeper, looks like I'm going to be drilling all the way through. That doesn't matter. And so that's what it's going to look like when I've glued it in there. So it's quite a nice little thing, something different, something out of my ordinary. Now I'm going to put that in there. I'm not going to glue it straight in because I've got to sand the top of that and get rid of all the pencil marks before I actually glue it together. Otherwise we won't be able to clean it up. Okay, my next step. Let's get rid of all of these. The next step is to make the pieces that go in here. Okay, so the slot that I'm going to cut there is going to be a 1/8 slot. It's going to be, I'm going to cut it with my TSRW4, which is a 1/8 router bit, and I need to do the same on this one here, but this one here is only going to go to the depth of my cutout in the handle there, because I only want it to sit in the handle. So there's a little bit of fiddling to get that right. So let's get on to that. So first thing, set the router bit in place. And then what I need to do is I need to mark the center of here and the centre of that. They're both the same size. And they're both in the centre, so I've got to mark the centres. I've got an arrow here, and you probably can't see it with on the camera. There's a little mark there that points towards the front of the box. Okay, so they have to be lined up from the front. So if I find the centre, centre, okay. Bit difficult to see these marks on walnut. Try square. Okay, so that's my centre of my hole. That's where I'm going to make my cut. Now, what I also need to do is I need to mark on one of these, I need to mark the distance that I'm going to travel with the cut. Now I'm going to cut from here to here, so I need to have a mark here and here so that when I set up the fence, I've got something to gauge by. So if I find a centre across this way, that didn't work very well. Try it again. That's better. Okay, now measure each side of that. Now what I want, let me have a look here. To find my centre, again, I want to be, I'd say, out to 25. That'll give me an even distance either side. A square mark on that. Do the same on this side. So it's a bit of a fiddle, but if you don't do these markings, things won't go right for you. Okay. Now let's get set here. So I'm going to set the height. Now this is how I do the height for this. Just undo it, wind your router down till I'm sitting the router bit in the centre of the cutout. And just take it down until we have too much. Just want to lift that a little bit so that it's just catching on the bottom of that hollow. Let's come up a little more. And you can see I'm just rocking it around there. You can see it sits, it's a little bit proud. So when we make the cut will actually cut through the bottom of there. It won't come through here, but it will cut into the bottom of our little hollow there. Alright, fence. I'm going to use my spiral cut a fence. Sit that on there. I won't put the dust extractor on it because I'll be talking during the process, so too hard to work with that. Couple of stops. Couple of clamps. Gosh, it's getting warm in here in this office. Alright, so I use this one here because it's got the hole in the centre just to get my distance. So that's going to be the distance from there to there. Clamp that down. That's giving me a centre. Beautiful. Now I need to make sure that I have the stop in the right place. So all I'm doing is I'm setting my square against the piece of material and I'm putting my mark on the outside of the router bit, so the stop will go here. And on the other end, cool. Okay, so one stop here. You'll see this stop here actually has a chamfer on the edge of it. It just allows me to work the piece of material better. Just grabbing it. And up the other end. You'll see that that router bit is not actually protruding over the top edge of there because this is the first one we're going to cut. Just make sure everything is tight. So earmuffs on, everybody. Now go very, very careful with this. So what we're going to do is going to sit that on top of there, going to push it down and just push it straight along to there, and that's the only cut. I might come back again, but we'll see how we look. Little piece of sandpaper just to tidy it up. And you can see I've just cut, I've only just cut into the bottom of the hollow. So it's just a shallow bit in there. Now I'll make a piece of material that'll fit through there with a little ridge on it. But while I've got that here, what I want to do now, I'm just going to raise the router bit up so that it just protrudes through my piece of material. And make sure you cut the right way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut straight through there, and I'm going to turn it around, and then I'm going to push through that side, and I'm only going to go up to that. So you actually don't need this here anymore. I actually might take it away so that it's not in the way. As you saw, my fingers were really close to all of that sort of business there. If you want to use a push stick or a little block or something like that, that's probably a good idea. Remember, safety first. And so there we have the two little slots. We don't need this anymore, so I'll just get that out of the way. So what I need to do now is I need to make a couple of little lifters. So over to my bench here. Get all this stuff out of the way. And I had a piece of material, there it is there. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to measure the length. Just make it a tiny little bit longer. Dress your piece down to 1/8. Follow my pencil. And that one will probably be the same size. It is. And instead of using a drop saw, I'm just going to use a beach hook and saw. Now I need two pieces. Now they don't need to be very big. This one here doesn't quite fit in there, of course, we've got to fit it. This one's only going to be the thickness of that piece of this piece of timber. So a thin one. And a piece of sandpaper. So what I need to do now is just round that over. So you can do that just quite easily with a piece of 180 or something like that, something coarse. And all I'm doing is rounding over the end of that to the other end. Basically all it needs really is just to take the corner off it so that it fits in the trench. Now that's going to fit in there really nicely and it'll be nice and snug, but I'm not going to push it in just at this stage. But that's that one. Need another one. Now this one's going to be a little taller because we're going to round over the top edge of it. So I'm just going to cut a reasonable amount of it. Okay, so it's quite a tall piece. Just do the flat bottom and round over the end. A little bit of handwork never hurt anybody. Okay, so this one's just a tiny bit long. Take it off the end.
Nearly there.
Nearly there. So just keep working it till it fits. And that's a good fit. Perfect fit actually. So now I need a sharp pencil, so I'll get a different pencil. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to mark the end of my piece. And then we'll find something round. Maybe this. No, it's too small. It's not big enough. Let's try a different one. Still not big enough. Oh, let's do it by hand. Let's do a freehand. Basically all we want
Does it need to be
something that looks like that.
the other one?
What was that, Pammy?
Oh, I was just thinking that if for shape, compare it to the other one.
Oh yeah. Come on.
Okay.
This one's a bit longer, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, still good shape.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, let's go over to our little sander. Box lid. Let's see what we look like. That looks pretty good. Nice little lifter. This one's a little lifter. All I need to do now is I'm going to sand the tops of those. This one needs to be cut down a little bit more, but I need to glue it in place to actually do that. So I want to sand this, the top of it. So just go over to my sandpaper, over to the bench, shift some of these things. As you can see, making the little handles, it's exacting work. It's small. It's something that you know, not too many people will have a go at, because it's very small. But it is really rewarding to see the finished product. Sanding block. I'm just going to sand with the grain. This is just a 180. All I want to do is get rid of all of those pencil marks that I've put on there before. The reason being is because we've got things stuck up there and you can't actually, sitting up in the air, and it's really hard to sand when you've got other things interfering. By doing small projects like this, you can actually build a skill level that will actually allow you to do this to bigger projects. It's all about patience and time and thinking through the issues that you're likely to encounter. One of the things that I didn't show you was that I've actually cut all of my top panels from the same piece of timber, so that when you look at it, all of the bits, all the grain lines up. Excuse me a second. Okay, let's work down through some grades. Let's get a bit of finer stuff. 400. I don't normally do my sanding on my bench, on the router bench. Normally I'll take it over to the Merca and give it a dose of sanding with the Merca. But these are a little bit more delicate, and I don't want to start getting into it with an electric tool. Just keep it fine, keep it light. I'm only working on the top at the moment. But once I've got the top done, I can glue everything together, and I can do the rest of it afterwards. Do it. A little bit in there. The hole in this one is a 25mm hole. In the other one, it's a 30mm hole. A little bit bigger. I thought I'd try the smaller one just to make it see what it looked like. And there's the thing that you can be doing with this sort of stuff is experimenting with different things to get different visual effects that match up and look pretty nice. There you go. Put it over here. Take care with your sanding, because like I've always said right through from the time that I've started doing major woodworking pieces, is the last thing to do is your sanding, but it's the first thing that everybody sees when they pick it up. I've got a couple of pencil marks on here, I just need to get those off. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just round over that top edge a little bit when I sanded it. So just take the sharpness off those corners. If you've got big pudgy fingers like mine, well, you have to be very patient. A little nicer, a little bit more pleasant to pick up. And now glue up time. Don't need much glue. Boy howdy, it's warm in here today. I'm starting to perspire. Now I'm going to put the glue on here and not in the crack, in the channel that I've got there. You don't need a lot. If your piece of timber fits relatively snugly, it'll hold. Press it down. Make sure there's no residual glue sitting around. Voila. Now this one. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to sand the top edge, and when I put it in, I'm going to put it in from the back so that it sits flush on the table. That way there's very little sanding on the outside. Better give it a light sand first. Just make sure I've got it nice and clean, there's no fibre sticking up anywhere. So I'm just choosing the top side because it's thicker than the piece of material here. I'm going to sand the bottom of it off. So a little bit of glue here. And we glue on this end. So this is going to be the top. Flush at the top. As you can see, it sticks out a little bit, so I'm going to let that sit for a couple of seconds, and then I'll take it over and I'll sand that off. You can do it by hand, you can use a plane if you like, it's up to you. So that's 2, and here's a little knob. that's drying, I might take this over and just sand this off on the sander, and then I'll have to sand the top of it. So you just need to go very, very carefully when you do this. What I don't want to do is touch. Beautiful. Back over to the bench. A piece of flat paper. Okay, so there's probably another hour's worth of sanding and setup to have all of those lids actually fitting properly into the little boxes. They're still not quite there. I've made them so that they are a really snug fit. I'm not going to pull on that at this stage. It's back to front. As you can see, quite a snug fit, but that's okay because it's this way. All I need to do is sand it down so that it fits perfectly. Okay, so that one will go in there. And then this one is left. Again, a little bit of a snug fit. And then this one will go here. Put it around the right way. I think I've got them on the right side. Oh yeah, that's. So we end up with that one there. Okay. So that's what our little boxes look like for once they're sorted. So they're quite a neat little setup. This is the other one. This one has been sanded. It's basically ready for a finish. I won't put a finish on it. I'll do that later. And I'll put a couple of pictures up on Instagram. So walnut and silver ash, and you can see that these ones here, the lid is actually protrudes a tiny little bit. I've done that deliberately. This one's flush, so you can get variations by doing things like that. So it's always, you know, experiment, have a look, see how it goes. If it doesn't work for you, of course, try something new, try something different. Have the patience to actually go through all of those processes, and you'll find that you're going to end up with some beautiful results. So I think we're going to end it there. And Pammy and I, and this is on behalf of Pammy and myself, is we'd like to wish everybody a happy holiday and a prosperous new year for next year. Be safe if you're on the roads, and we'll be back probably towards the end of January. I think standing here now and saying these words like we'll be back at the end of January and God only knows what we're going to be doing. I was only saying those a couple of days ago, but at least I thought they were a couple of days ago. It was last December. I was saying exactly the same thing. We'll see you back in January.
2026.
In 2026, but God only knows what we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
I know some of you give some brilliant ideas and send me some wonderful projects, and I consider them all. I don't just discard them out of not doing that business. I do consider them. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it easy for everybody to be able to, copy this stuff and do stuff. So our development this year was basically around the angled trays and things like that. For the last 6 months, that's what we've been playing with. Apart from all the odd problems that we've had with the computer and sound and all those sorts of issues, we've had a great year, and we hope you've learned something throughout the year. And we'll just see what next year brings. We're open to ideas, and as I said before, shops still open all over the holidays, and we'd like to thank everybody for their support over those difficult times that we had at the end of the year. So please keep watching, and we will see you again in January.
20.